Hello, hello. It is 7:14, almost 7:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I play every night at 7:15. The stream goes up at like 10 after. Gameplay starts at 15 after, 7 nights a week. Gonna get started here in just a moment. Just adjusting my screen real quick. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Oh, sweet. Thanks for letting me know, JB. I can't, the problem is I can't, pull it up while I'm streaming, so. But thanks for letting me know. What was I saying? Oh, every night, 7:15. Stream goes up at 10 after. Gameplay starts at 15 after. 7 nights a week. And then Saturdays at noon, I play Horizon Forbidden West, working on side quests right now. Feel free to hit like if you enjoy watching. Subscribe if you want to keep watching. No pressure to do either. I'm just here for fun, and I want you to be as well. But it's definitely appreciated if you do. Love having people hang out in the chat. I was watching Critical Role today, and then just doing loops through here, and I'm so close to 100 million that I just want to get up to 100 million before I start doing normal gameplay, because it's like we're right there. Probably get to 100 million in 20 minutes. So I'm gonna get to 100 million just to say I had 100 million souls, because we're so close. But I've been working on a new game plus, but I'm also trying to like ridiculously overlevel this character. Like, I was just watching Critical Role and running circles in here just to keep my hands busy, because it helps me pay attention. Because I have multiple characters in here, I'm like, let's just make one utterly broken. I appreciate that, JB. Thank you. But last night, what did we do? We beat Henrik and the Bloodstarved Beast. We are up to 3 deaths. I'm gonna death count 3. The most recent death, fall damage. Trying to get into the Hunter's Workshop. I fell off a pole. So not bad. If we've beaten Cleric Beast, Gascoigne, and the Bloodstarved Beast, and Henrik, and we've only had 3 deaths, but also we're on a ridiculously overleveled character, so it's like, I mean, it's not really that much to brag about, but 2 of them were to Jura firing a Gatling gun at me, pinning me up against the wall. I couldn't get away from it because I was in alleys, got pinned up against the wall. And then one of them was fall damage after beating the Bloodstarved Beast. I'm like, 100 million is so close. This is probably boring to watch, though. I was trying to get to 100 million before I started streaming, but I was unsuccessful. So I was just chilling. I restarted Critical Role Campaign 3 because I have not been able to watch it for a while, because I've been doing streaming during its live airing for a year and a half now. And so I'm like a year and a half behind on Critical Role, basically. But I was already behind before I started streaming, because it's like a lot to keep up with. I don't know. And I don't remember what was going on, so I've restarted watching it so that I can keep up with what's going on, because there's just... I was already kind of getting lost. Because I was just getting real distracted while watching it. I used to just, like, sit and watch it in real time and pay attention to it, but then I started listening to it while, like, cleaning and stuff, and so then I'm, like, half paying attention to it, and I just got in a real bad habit of missing half of what was going on, and I'm trying to get back into, like, attentively watching it, basically. We're only 3 trophies away from the freaking platinum, y'all. Just gotta do the Dumeru Ehil Chalice, beat the Queen. So we did the Defiled Chalice. We survived Amygdala with half health. And yeah. Then just gotta beat the Moon Presence on my other save, which we're real close to doing. we're at the moon presence. We just need to actually fight it again. But been focusing on chalices there. And then run through this new game plus real quick. And then we'll be done. Platinum Bloodborne. Taking the scenic route there. This game changed the way I game. Like, I was not into really difficult games or playing, like, hard mode. When I was a kid, we would do the hardest mode in Halo or whatever, but I feel like hard mode today is way different than hard mode back then, because, like, there's so much more, like, AI in the, you know, the NPCs, I feel like, are more responsive to what you do. Whereas, like, in Halo, everything was just completely scripted, you know? You just had to memorize the level. Unless you were playing online, but you know what I mean. I'm just rambling. Don't mind me. Today was a treatment day, so my brain's fried. Like, eyes are having trouble staying open, so that's kind of why I'm doing mindless farming, basically. It's exhausting. I had to get up at 6 a.m. The treatment gives me really bad nausea, so I got them to prescribe me something for the nausea, but I have to take it 2 hours before the treatment, which meant I had to get up at like 5:45 a.m. And that makes for a really long, exhausting day. I'm not, like, you know, always try to, like, work second shift or third shift. I'm not a morning person. I don't like seeing 6 a.m. I don't like the way the world feels at sunrise. I don't know how to explain it. There's something about sunrise. Like, I think sunrises are beautiful, but I would rather see a sunset. Sunrise time just makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know how to explain it. I know this isn't super interesting to watch, but I'm just so close to 100 million that I just need to get 100 million just to have done it. Hundred million souls, here we come. What you working on? Oh, nice. Like fiction writing or um, like work writing, actual like work writing. I don't know how to ask that question. Writing for fun or writing for productivity, I guess. My brain doesn't work great on treatment days, hence the loop-de-loop that I'm doing here. Oh, nice. What are you writing about? If you can share, you don't have to. We're so close to 100 million souls. Oh, you did the Sackboy stuff, Jagged Fire? What was you were talking about Area 16 or something? I haven't played Sackboy, so I don't know. But Sackboy, okay, you got another platinum. How many does that get you at now? Oh, your brother's the one that makes that music? That's rad. So are you writing music then? 74 platinums? What does it have your score at then? Mine's only like 260 or 270. What is your trophy score? I don't even know how they tally that. I mean, I feel like I've got some idea, but I feel like it's changed over time. 350? Holy crap. That's intense. Are you mostly doing games where you can dupe the trophies onto PlayStation 5? Hey, Ona. I had treatment today, so I'm not braining real great, but I'm trying to get 100 million souls because before I signed on, I was running this loop playing remote while watching Critical Role, and I got so close that I'm like, I want to just get to 100 million because it's already like most of the way there. So I'm just running this loop until I get to 100 million because why not? Also because brain not braining. The treatment is so weird and it makes the rest of the day real funky. But Jagged just got another platinum trophy and has a 350. What is the term for that? Gamer score? I don't even know. Trophy score? Whatever. How are you today, Ona? Do you have a PS5 yet, or are you just doing these all on PS4 in anticipation, and then once you get a PS5, your score is just gonna like go crazy and be like 900? Which game are you playing, Ona? Fair enough, that makes sense. At this point, I don't see the point in buying a standard PS5 with an upgraded edition being so clearly on the horizon. I'm not familiar with that. Wait, for SW? Why, that's not ringing any bells for me right now. I'm not really good at doing like combos and stuff, so I'm not very good at fighting games. It's the same reason I play like bass guitar. Like I can play other guitar, but I don't like having to think about multiple notes at once. Except for then when I do play bass guitar, I wind up playing chords. Switch, okay. Gotcha. I have a Switch. I found it. I've been wondering where I put it. You're never gonna believe it. It's sitting on its charger. I've been like, where the heck did I put my Switch? Yeah, no, it's on the charger hooked up to the TV. Just didn't think to check that. I still need to finish Skyward Sword. I played Skyward Sword when it first came out, but I didn't like the motion tracking because when you get to the desert and you have to do the jab to bounce the energy balls, like the tracking wasn't doing great, and so it wasn't working, and then I was just getting hit with the energy balls, and it got real frustrating to like have to do it that way, and then it's not even working properly. So I didn't watch the whole Nintendo Direct, but I saw some of the trailers, like the Zelda trailer and there was a new trailer for the Horizon game that showed some of the co-op characters. So that's all I caught from that. Skyward is really weird. Like they were trying to show off like the Wii motion controls. So they built the whole game around it, but then it was like you really swing the sword by using the Wiimote or whatever, but then it didn't track great. So it does work a lot better on the Switch, but basically when I bought it, I was out of town and I was playing it there, but then when I got back into town, it like wasn't a part of my routine, so I forgot to finish playing it. So I need to start over, basically. Horizon's my favorite franchise, so I'm just excited because like I'm excited to see how they interpret the story, and they got most of the same actors and it's mostly the same story, but they've just done a silly version of the same story, and I'm excited to see that, basically. Especially because one of the playable characters is Tirsa, who's like the matriarch. I'm like definitely gonna main his grandma. Very excited for that. I do have some mixed emotions about it because I was like hoping that it would be actually just all the mechanics of Horizon Zero Dawn, but with reskinned as Legos, because like the machines as it is, you can already shoot individual armor plates off and stuff like that. So like just imagining playing Horizon, but instead of like metal armor plates, it's like Legos going flying. I was real stoked about that, but it's not first person. You're not running around shooting with a bow. They goofied it up, but I just like seeing love being shown to Horizon, and also like the opportunity for people to be like, the story's real good, and I hope it gets people curious to actually try the real game. And it's interesting to see like a Sony main character getting a game on Switch. I feel like, I don't know, Horizon is like PlayStation's Zelda, sorta. Like when I first played it, the reason it was like became my favorite game is Ocarina of Time was my favorite game before. And Horizon was the first time I felt like the same wonder that Ocarina of Time had given me. And like it felt like almost like a spiritual successor to Ocarina of Time to me, just with like, I don't know, it gave me the same feeling that playing Ocarina of Time gave me back when Nintendo 64 was brand new, when I was a 4th grader. Like, that's what I got for my birthday in 4th grade, and it was a very magical experience. And yeah, hopefully, Majora's Mask is amazing. I don't like the way they changed the in like the Nintendo 3DS version or whatever. They changed like the Zora swimming for the worse, in my opinion. I haven't played it, but I've seen videos of it. But like the Zora swimming was like my favorite part of Majora's Mask. I do like that tone. It's just like the thing that makes Ocarina stand out is like it was the first game of its type. Like the Z targeting was revolutionary at the time. Like they hadn't had combat work like that in a game before, and it changed how other games were made. Yeah, it's because they really pressed the graphics in Burning Shores Jagged Fire. So like they had to just make a choice on that to like be able to push the graphics and do some of the things technically that they wanted to do. It would brick a PS4. Because they have like volumetric clouds and these snaky arms things that you fight. It's a really, really cool battle at the end. I might have misjudged how long this is going to take to get to 100,000, but I'm committed. That might be all we do tonight, but brainy not braining, so... Well, yeah, and that totally makes sense. Like, for me, you know, I was born in 1987, so it's like Super Nintendo came out when I was a kid. Like, we had an Atari when I was a little kid. Like... The first time I played a first-person shooter was on a computer, and it took hours and hours to install. It was called Heretic, and that game came out in like 1994. So like comparing Heretic to then like getting GoldenEye later, it's just... Well, the thing about the older games that I like miss is like you had to engage your imagination, and that actually wound up making it more immersive. Because in this, like, I don't have to imagine what's going on. All the like moss and everything and like the dust in the air is done for me. So like having a more detailed character model means I use less of my imagination, and there's less room to use my imagination. But like having just like this character model that's just like the idea of what the character should be, and then having to kind of fill in the details with your imagination to make sense of what's going on in the world, like it just changed the way it felt back then. And new games don't scratch that itch quite the same, in my opinion, personally. But like if you grew up playing these latest gen games, you know, PS3, 4, 5. Like, then it's harder to go back because it's like the gameplay mechanics that we're used to now are so much more complex and fluid. Like, but they were like being worked out in the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. And so they've been like honed across generations at this point, but they were brand new and novel at the time. But gaming has just gotten so much more complex. You know, but like even something as simple as the targeting mechanic in Bloodborne. Like, that goes back to the Z targeting in Ocarina of Time. Like, as far as I understand it, like Ocarina of the Time was like the first game to employ that kind of targeting and that kind of combat where you could have like move it around like that and have like multiple enemies engaging you in a way like that. I don't know how to like. Yeah, I love the way that the Soulsborne games do the kind of detective work storytelling where it's like and it's exactly that where it's like they're not laying it out for you, and so you have to engage with it to find out the story in this game. So it's like that same element where it's like it's there, but you have to kind of work for it. It's like kind of similar to what I'm pointing at with what made older games magical at the time, because it's like you're given a starting point and sent in a direction, but then you kind of have to let your mind do work to piece it together. And that's kind of the same thing that happened when it was like a pixely game or something like Final Fantasy VII graphics, where it's like you're getting a representation of what's happening with the little sprite, but it's like a much more simplified version of what it should really look like. And so it's like you have to engage with the models in the game and imagine the details being filled in. And it just asked more of your attention span, but like in a good way. Or I don't know if that makes sense. But it's the same way where it's like you're given the pieces of a puzzle, but you gotta interact with them to put together the story in this game. And if you're not doing that work, then you're not gonna understand the story. But there's still great gameplay and there's plenty to engage with. But like if you want that extra bit, like, you know, you could still play those older games without imagining greater detail. But for me, what I liked about them was like having something that's just enough to like get me imagining the rest of it, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I was so inspired to make fan art and imagine like, you know, here's just this like boxy textured Nintendo 64 level graphics ice cave, but like what would it look like if it were realistic versus it was like, what would Zelda Ocarina of Time look like rendered in this much detail? I had to come up with and imagine what the lighting would look like, what the bricks would look like, what the cracks in the ice would look like, because you just didn't have as much working for you back then. But now that's just all rendered, and so it's like the possibilities are fewer, and there's less imagination inspired. I have old fan art that I did of like, where it's like, you know, what is, like in here we've got this ornate sconce, right? But in Ocarina of Time, it was just this like black box, right? Like it didn't have, it was so much more geometric and doesn't have filigree like that does. So it's like how I'm imagining this room versus how someone else might be imagining the room is different, but then you get a wider variety of people like making it their own. Getting so close to 100 million. Absolutely. Like, there's still elements there where, like, what the details convey in this game is still important and still inspires imagination, but it's just in a different way. Like, it's more heady imagination versus visual imagination. And so for me, that's like the thing I miss was like the artistic inspiring of the old games that made me create. I saw that you messaged me, but I didn't open Discord because like I don't want to be on messaging apps while I'm recovering from treatment on treatment days. That just sounds like maybe a smart idea. By the time I'm playing, I'm usually back in my head a little bit better, but like the treatment is a very potent drug that puts me into La La Land. So yeah. I have been texting a friend like descriptions of what happens during treatment because it's basically the treatment I'm getting is like straight up tripping balls for 2 hours. Very potent medication that sends me off the planet. And supposedly that's gonna fix something in my brain chemistry. That's what they say. And so it gets pretty wild. Like today I was riding a paintbrush. Have you ever seen the movie What Dreams May Come? With Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr.? Where like he goes to the afterlife and his wife is a painter, and so his, like in the afterlife I think he's a doctor and his wife's a painter, and he's like inside a painting. And that's what today was like. It was like going inside a painting. It was very interesting. And I think it's because I had a conversation with a friend the other day who was showing me some paintings by her favorite artist, and then I was like, I could learn to make that because this dude's paintings sell for like 6 figures. Just the prints are like $1,000. I was like, I don't know how to make that. I'm gonna paint one. Give it away for free. So I've been looking at oil painting stuff a lot lately. If you've not seen it, it's a great movie. Let's see if I can pull up a trailer. It's like the effects are old now, but it was a great movie. Okay, here's a trailer in the chat. It's a weird movie. It's a trip through the afterlife, so it gets imaginative, but it's just there's multiple points where he's like inside a painting. And it was kind of like that, but also not like that. I don't know. It was a weird experience. Be inside a painting in my head for 2 hours. I don't know, I just put on some really good instrumental music and ride the ride. It's not, it sounds cooler than it is. It's actually like kind of an unpleasant experience. It's very unsettling and disorienting. And the first 2 times I had really awful nausea, and they give you a little, emesis bag. Thankfully, I haven't actually puked, but like I felt like I have to puke for 3 or 4 hours after treatment, and it's not fun. And then I'm like not allowed to drive and stuff, and that's not fun either, to not be allowed to drive and go anywhere, do anything. Kind of just try to keep. That's why I was trying to keep to myself and just watch Critical Role and run loops through here earlier because I don't want to make poor choices. So what's been interesting is I've actually been getting. I'm wearing the Vile Blood rune right now because I was gonna go kill some hunters in the Cathedral Ward, but occasionally I've been getting blood dregs from this guy dying. Like the game doesn't realize the class of NPC hunter that he is, and it's giving me blood dregs here and there, but like randomly. So I've gotten 4 or 5 blood dregs from running around in here. It is an interesting movie. It's like if you've read Dante's Inferno, it's kind of like that, but also not. But there's like these different layers to the afterlife, and it's emotionally moving because it deals with some intense themes. But it's a good one. I last watched it in summer of 2021. Just there's a descent into like the underbelly of the afterlife, and that's kind of Inferno-ish. But I did read it in college, I think. Robin Williams, a great actor. I wonder where you can watch it. I'm gonna look it up. It is... doesn't look like it's streamable anywhere. You have to rent it or buy it. Bummer. I feel like it was streamable a few years ago. Oh, see, look, it gave me a blood drag. Every now and then. We might not get to 100 million in this stream. Sorry to disappoint. Oh, so every now and then when this guy dies, I get a blood dreg. It's not every time, but here and there, it's not realizing that it's the wrong kind of hunter for that. And so I've gotten, like 7 or 8 blood dregs now from running through this. Because I'm wearing the corruption rune. With how long it takes to connect, probably getting him at roughly the same rate that I would get him if I was actually doing invasions. Because, I mean, I watched a couple hours of Critical Role and I got 5 or 6. At least. Was it? Is it on Discord? I'll pull it up. Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's literally what you just sent me. Yeah, it's been giving me blood dregs today. That is literally what your message is about. I just looked at it. Hi, Swalky, how you doing? Yeah, I'm glad you were here to see that, and that's hilarious that you already sent me that, because yeah, this has been giving me blood dregs. So I'm wearing wearing corruption. $100,000 million, whatever. Taking longer than I thought it would. It's like, oh, it'll take 20 minutes. No. I don't know why I thought that. But this is about all my brain's got space for right now. And then where's next? We gotta go through Cathedral Ward and Vicar Amelia, and then out to Forbidden Woods, because we get the password from touching the skull. Have a good night, Ona. Thanks for stopping in. I'm glad you were able to catch me getting one of the blood dregs and see the fulfillment of your Tomb Prospector message in real time. Oh my gosh, I'm so sleepy. Have a good night. Rest well. My brain's not doing super great today. I was just explaining, I have treatment on Tuesdays and Fridays, and then my brain is fried after treatment. And so I'm just running loops in the FPK dungeon. trying to get 100 million souls. I've got multiple characters, and this is my ridiculously over-leveled character. So I'm just trying to ridiculously over-level it further. For the heck of having a ridiculously over-leveled character. And so I was watching Critical Role earlier today in my stupor of brain not workiness and remote playing, running loops through this, and then I'm like, I'm so close to 100 million that I just want to get 100 million. Yeah, I have treatment on Tuesdays and Fridays. Just get a really strong medication that, as I was just telling them, basically makes me trip balls for a couple hours, and then I like recover from that for the rest of the day. For a condition that other drugs haven't helped. So then my brain is funky, and I'm not allowed to drive, and it's harder to do complex or skilled things because, like, I get really uncoordinated in my body afterwards. So it's an interesting time. That's why I'm not doing anything too intense today. But eventually it'll go down to once a week, and then maybe once every couple of weeks. I mean, it does suck, but also it is, like, hopefully gonna help what nothing else has helped. We'll see what happens. I have a heart racing condition also. If I stand up, my heart races. But if I'm laying down, then it's not racing. But, like, if I just go on a walk, like, my heart races as though I'm, like, jogging. Because it's not a heart condition, it's a nerve condition that affects the heart. So it's funky. But yours is MVP mitral valve prolapse. You don't have to answer that. My brain started trying to figure out what that meant. In another life, I was gonna be a doctor. I had the grades for it, but I joined a cult. So, yeah. Became a musician in the Christian music industry. The whole thing. Yeah, it's one of those things that's harder to realize until you're on the other side of it. It happens. I feel like with the internet and stuff, people can get massive amounts of influence and establish themselves, like, with credibility that they haven't really earned, because they can just get an audience of, like, they can cast a wider net, so they can build an audience and then have the seeming credibility that comes with having a large audience and reach. But it's, like, not as earned, because it's like you have a flashy web page and technology to go with it. there's a lot more culty organizations popping up. Hence all the cult documentaries popping up as well. Oh, dang. I've got some friends in Utah that have navigated similar. Well, that's the thing, is the place I worked was it's fairly like it's well known in like the the musical artists I worked alongside. Like some of them are like Dove Award nominated, or there was one guy that even got a Grammy nomination. So it's like it's a cult, but also the stuff that we produce there, like, is some of the like hit Christian music that's sung in normal churches across the globe. Cheaper college, that is, but at what cost? Like, is it truly cheaper? Is the cost you're paying just not monetary, right? I say that having also gone to a religious affiliated university, to Baylor. It's like a good school, but also really strict rules during your college experience. That is a lot cheaper. Come on! We got halfway there from where we were at. We did not get to 100 million. So, okay, I've been streaming about an hour. I think I'm gonna hang up the stream and go back to watching Critical Role and just doing this on remote rather than streaming. And I will post a screenshot on Twitter and to the Discord once I hit 100 million souls. But I'm gonna go back to watching Critical Role so I don't have to think as much. I like theater. I did theater in high school. I liked to help with like set painting, and yeah, let me get you the link. A ton of people in it, but we've got a decent little crowd. I'll pull that up real quick. Here we go. Links in the chat. It's good for the next few days. it's not like super active or anything, but it's just a place that people could at least find each other through the week. Lights and sound, hell yeah. That's one of the things I did at the cult. I did audio for our broadcast and front of house for live music, and we didn't get a sound check because like the cult, it's like 24-hour music, and the band just changes out every 2 hours, but like they change out like an instrument at a time. So like if the band leader is like on piano or whatever, then like they might get up and then someone else comes and swaps out at the piano or guitar lead spot and takes over playing. And then the drummers switch out cymbals, and they keep like the main kit there, but you bring your own cymbals and snare. And like they've got like DI boxes and amps and stuff, and you just show up with like if you've got an amp head. They've got cabs in the back that you can pick between, or a lot of people would use like amp modelers. Then like DI box for the bass. They've got a couple keyboards there that you can like run as MIDI controllers for Ableton or whatever. And so I'd be mixing without a sound check, like as the musicians would switch out. Either for broadcast, which is more like mixing for an album, but then because it was broadcast sometimes for TV, we had to do it like within a very narrow. It was compressed to hell, is basically what it was. Just a really hard L2 limiter, squashing the hell out of it. Or front of house, which is what you have to worry more about like feedback and stuff like that. Or people saying that the low end is too loud. And you twist the knob that leads to nothing, and they're like, oh, it sounds better now. That's how it works. I've always wanted to learn how to do lights. That seems like it would be fun. What's your favorite musical theater show? Like, I'm a sucker for Into the Woods. It's just so good. But it isn't my fault. I was given those beans. You persuaded me to trade away my cow for beans, and without those beans, there'd have been no stock to get up to the giant in the first place. Wait a minute, magic. Beans were a cow sold, but you had to tell a lie to sell it, which you told were they worthless. Beans were they oversold. Oh, and tell us who persuaded you to steal that gold. So it's your fault, and it isn't mine at all. But if you wouldn't have gone back up again, we were needy, you were greedy, did you need that hand? But I got it from my mother, so it's her fault then. Yes, but what about the harp in the third place, second place? She wouldn't have dared to. She said that I was scared too. She did. Oh no, I did it too early. Sondheim messed me up. That's real. I know, after you do a show, it's just like, good luck getting your brain back. Theater's great. I miss it. You're responsible. You're the one to blame. It's your fault. Shh. Disney ruined it. Disney absolutely ruined Into the Woods. Okay, this is where I'm going to sign off. And go back to what I was doing with my night. Thanks for hanging out, Swalky, Ona, Michael, and Jagged, and JB. Appreciated having y'all here. Just so y'all know, if you're not used to it, I'm here every night at 7:15 Mountain Standard Time. It's 8:15 on the dot right now, so I'll be back in 23 hours. The stream goes up at like 10 after. Gameplay starts at 15 after. On Tuesdays and Fridays, my brain doesn't work, so I apologize in advance. At least for the time being. That will be less bad eventually. I'll go down to once a week instead of twice a week. But I play at least 45 minutes to an hour. Often longer, but not always. Usually more interesting than what I did tonight, but brain not worky. So, you know, take it as it comes. And then Saturdays at noon, I play Horizon, working on Forbidden West side quests. It's a replay for me. Ultra hard, no HUD, no reticle, just challenging myself, having fun. Because I just miss Horizon if I don't play it regularly, so working through side quests and that. Feel free to hit like if you enjoyed watching. Subscribe if you want to keep watching. No pressure to do either. If you look in the chat, if you're watching this within, you know, the next couple days, there is a Discord link that I popped up towards the end here if you want to come hang out on the Discord or just get to know other people. It's a little bit of activity there throughout the week, but no pressure on any of that. I'm just here for fun. Want you to be here for fun as well. Just hanging out every night, playing some video games, because why not? I hope y'all have a lovely rest of your night or whatever time it might be wherever in the world you're watching from, and I will catch you all next time. Bye-bye.